you do get a sense. There's like an aesthetic working in Melville's work that you get a sense that you don't have to know how to make a movie. If you truly love cinema with all your heart and with enough passion, you can't help but make a good movie. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to know a lens, you know, a 40 and a 50 and a fuck all that shit. Crossing the line, none of that shit's important. If you just truly love cinema with enough passion and you really love it, then you can't help but make a good movie.
The best advice I can give you is be tenacious. Be aggressive. Don't be polite. If you're polite, you'll be one of the many people standing in the line. You have to be a little pushy. You have to be prepared to say you're sorry, that you were wrong, or you possibly have made a mistake. But on the whole, you got to go for it. You ain't never going to round the bases unless you swing at the bat. And if you don't swing at the ball, rather, you're never going to get around for a second and third. You just have to want it so desperately that you can go without food. Then you're on your way.
One thing for advice, I would say don't take media studies. Take something useful, philosophy, history, English. Learn to have thoughts, because there's no point in making movies if you're just imitating other people, if you have no thoughts of your own that you're trying to get out of your system. I also think you've got to be completely obsessed, and probably best to get a job as a plumber, because there's always a shortage of plumbers, just in case.
Well, and here's my advice to you. I think that you are now at a brilliant time. I wish I was starting now, because you have a new technology that you can make a movie with that's cheap. Your digital camera, okay? Make a movie. Start making movies, is my advice to anybody. Just make it. Make it great. Then get it shown. Then make another one. Keep working. There's no other way to do it. Unless you write your way in the movie business, or unless you become an actor, and you want to be a director, direct. Make a film. Show it to somebody. Make another film. Show it to them. You'll make it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Could you offer any advice to someone who is young, bright-eyed, and earnestly trying to get right in there?
The one thing I remember thinking initially when I was trying to make films, and you always felt like you got nervous that somebody else was right who was talking to you, you know, who maybe was in a position of power, like that their opinion somehow was right or better than yours, and somehow you could never stop to think like, no, it's just different. You just think differently than I do, and that's okay, you know, but I'm not wrong. You know, you can get filled with such fear, and it's really easy to just get your heart broken and kind of sort of beaten. You're sort of attempting to make films. I mean, it's a miracle anytime any one of them gets made, you know? It's a miracle, and it's a miracle every time. I feel like it's a miracle every time a scene kind of gets done and through the birth canal and done. I mean, it's never any less of a miracle or any less difficult. There's just a kind of, there just should be no fear, you know? I think that's, just always remember kind of being pummeled by fear early on and feeling like, God, if I could have just gotten rid of that fear earlier, this might have been a little bit easier. Just don't give a fuck. That's kind of the best thing to do.
That's great.
Yeah.
Nothing is so terrible as a pretentious movie. I mean, a movie that aspires for something really terrific and doesn't pull it off is shit, it's scum. And everyone will walk on it as such. And that's why poor filmmakers, in a way, that's their greatest horror, is to be pretentious. So here you are, on one hand, it's trying to aspire to really do something. On the other hand, you're not allowed to be pretentious. And finally you say, fuck it. I don't care if I'm pretentious or not pretentious, or if I've done it or I haven't done it. All I know is that I am going to see this movie. And that for me, it has to have some answers. And by answers, I don't mean just a punchline. Answers on about 47 different levels. And it's very hard to talk about these things without being very corny. You use a word like self-purgation or epiphany, they think you're either a, you know, a religious weirdo or a, you know, an asshole college professor. But those are the words for the process, this transmutation, this renaissance, this rebirth, which is the basis of all life.
I am completely agree with all the obstacles and with all the enemies who are between me and what I want to do. I see that they cooperate. They are in a providential manner. They help me to do exactly what I want. Because if I have not to fight, it is in the fighting that I can see better what I want to do. It is in the friction, how do you say? Friction that things become more clear. It become more clear just because it runs the danger to be far, to go away from me. And all the nostalgia and all the love that I am obliged to put in this danger make that things much more wishable.
Wishable, is it? Wishable.
Yes.
What matters most for successfully making a good movie? What would you say?
I think self-reliance. Everybody's complaining, the industry is so stupid. I do not get the money together, and so I say, roll up your sleeves, work as a bouncer in a sex club, as a warden in a lunatic asylum, half a year, you earn $10,000, $20,000, and you can make a feature film today. There's no excuse anymore. And then, of course, read. If you don't read, you will never make a great film. And I do have a mandatory reading list, but has nothing to do with cinema. It has to do with poetry, beginning Antiquity in Rome, Virgil, Georgics, about life in the country, about agriculture, or old Nordic poetry, or even the Warren Commission report on the assassination of Kennedy.
So you want broad minds. You think a broad mind matters.
Conceptually thinking, and those who are ready to break the rules, who are ready to learn from me how to pick a safety lock, how to forge a document. You see, a film like Fitzcarraldo would never have been possible without massive forgery.
So rule breaking is a part of the recipe for successful filmmaking.
Yes.
That's what worked for me, was not just writing something. You know, if you write something, it's yours and you own it, and you can develop it how you like, and you need that. But I mean, you need to be able to control it so you're not replaced or something. But for me, it was actually shooting something that made it possible for me to get a film done.
Work wherever you can. It doesn't matter what. A documentary, a commercial, wherever you can get near a camera, wherever you can, especially if you're a director. You're not going to be a director until you put your eye into that finder. And it doesn't matter what. There's no such thing as good work or bad work. There's only work at the beginning. Until you've got enough under your belt technically and have your legs under you, until you've learned to walk, you need all of it. Learn those lenses. To hell with the zoom lens. It's not going to teach you anything. It's a bad lens. Visually doesn't help you tell anything. The zoom lens lies because it doesn't relate to the eye, you see. It doesn't do what the eye does. Because if you notice on a zoom lens, the background moves as well as the foreground. As well as me getting bigger, that's getting bigger behind me. That doesn't happen with your eye. So it's basically telling you a lie visually to begin with.
Well, first of all, young people now have a huge advantage, which is anyone can make a movie cheap. I mean, you can take your flip camera and your laptop and Final Cut Pro, and you literally can make a perfectly acceptable film now for under $15,000. You really can, if you get people to work for free, and But that's a tremendous advantage that my generation, generations before me, we didn't have. It was either 8mm or 16mm. It was expensive. But that would be my advice: make movies. Just keep making pictures, and you learn by doing, and write scripts. A lot of people put all their, especially film students, put all their heart and soul into that one screenplay. And that's fine, but write something else, because maybe that one screenplay, you won't be able to sell it. So write something else. I mean, have 10 scripts in the drawer instead of, that one. If you want to be a dentist, or a lawyer, or there are rules. You do this, you are this. They give you a piece of paper. You're a dentist. Being a filmmaker, you put your hand on a rock. You say, "I'm a filmmaker." You know, just do it.
Make your own industry. Recreate movies. Don't pay attention to the industry. Do your own thing. I mean, put it this way. You want the work to be seen, but it doesn't have to be at the Odeon. You know, no more. That's all different. That's another ancient world. That type of film, or not even that type of film. The communal experience is always important. You can make a film on a camera the size of that doorknob and still show it to 1,600 people in an audience. It's still a great communal experience. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to cost over 100 million pounds. You know, it's all new. You just break it open. Break open the form. Don't just you know, have your tripod and a camera that's standing on it. The cameras that are being made now, and of course the fact that all Arriflex and other cameras have stopped being made, and whether we like it or not, we have to deal with a new technology, high definition, or digital, whatever it's called. It changes cinematography, the art of cinematography, but you younger ones, you make a new art. Take what's available, push it, you know, because it's going to go there. You could do anything.
When anyone approaches me and says, I want to be a director, I always tell them, then you should just be a director and don't say I'm going to be, because you can direct good or bad, but you can direct from your iPhone, from your cell phone, with your sister's cousin video camera, with a webcam, with right now, except in the most abject circumstances, most people can get a hold of an image audiovisual generating machine, and they can be directing and then realize that they are already directing. Directing doesn't mean anymore, and shouldn't mean anymore, directing feature films. I think that, as I said, with series like Breaking Bad, I was not only amazed at the way it was written, but the way it was staged on camera. It was a really well-directed series. And video games also can do that. And I think that, so as long as you have minimal access to any media, you should be a director if you feel like you want to. And the advice I feel is that it's always better to answer through your work the things you don't like in a piece of media. If you dislike the movies that are being made, make your own. Show the world what you want to do, what you think this medium should be. And I find that much more creative than simply putting it down and complaining about it. It's a more active, fascinating role to take. So the advice is, if you want to direct. And even easier, if you want to write. You know, I think that writing is one of the only things that can be done with very little resources. And even if you die and you were unpublished, you still have a chance. You know, it's truly, you cannot do that with directing. You need other people, you need a little bit of help, you need at least an actor in front of the camera, you know, but I think these are, what I say is, go and do it. And you know, when they say, oh, I would like you to do this for me, and I produce a lot of first-time filmmakers, but I don't produce all first-time filmmakers that approach me, and I say, look, if I say no and you give up, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's the wrong job for you, because you live with rejection for decades, sometimes as a director, and you end up making the movie you want to make. So if I say no, that doesn't mean I'm right or I'm wrong. You just say, fuck him, I'll show him later. You know, I'm going to make it, and that fat bastard is going to have to say, I was so wrong, and hit himself in the head because he didn't do it. And I think that's the thing to do, is like, show us. Don't tell us, you know, do the things. And if you do them wrong, but you do them in your own terms, that's how I define success. Failing in your own terms.
I'm Orson Welles. I direct films and act in them. What we're always trying for, of course, is perfection. In a film, that's only a hope. But with G&G, you can rely on it. Perfection. G&G. Nika whiskey.